What's poppin'? What's good? You know what your girl Miss Daisy. Welcome back to Chatting with Daisy. Today is a very special episode. I have my friend Q6 here today, and we are going to be talking about why we ask a lot of questions. Why aren't we asking questions? Sorry. Why aren't we asking questions? Why aren't we asking following questions to our questions? And kind of around society and how we've been all kind of walking around mindlessly. And I think in the best way I can put it is like mindlessly just going along with societal norms. So let's get started. So I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit before we began this episode. But like, why do you think we don't ask a lot of questions?
I think it's easier, it's more comfortable to just, people please. And like, instead of like being the person to make the situation uncomfortable, because when you're outside the box, that's the unknown, and people don't like the unknown. People are afraid of the
exactly.
I mean? Yeah. It's just like,
We're also look high.
Yeah, but like life is high.
Yeah, exactly.
Cloud nine.
Yes, but I feel like why we don't ask questions is because we're afraid of the answers. I don't think that we're afraid to ask the question. We're afraid of the answer that comes after the question. How are we going to feel? This is going to change my whole paradigm of how I live my life, especially if you figure out your whole life has been a lie. Mm-hmm. Like, how are we supposed to, move forward?
That's your identity.
Exactly.
It's like, who am I without this?
Exactly.
And if this is wrong, then who
am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a scary thing to not know who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like reason why we're afraid is because I don't think we truly know ourselves yet. Mm-hmm. So we go in that whole whirlwind of identity disorder. What do they call personality disorder?
Yeah.
Where you don't you start
roles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of playing yourself.
Yes.
And I feel like that's also why we don't ask questions, because we don't know who we are. Mm-hmm. How are you gonna ask a question if you don't know who you are?
It's like someone gave you clear answers.
Exactly.
But once again, they're all just words. You know what I mean? Like, nothing can ever really explain who we are and what we're here to do, because it's so much bigger than we can ever think of.
Exactly.
It's like by putting these rules in place, we have this purpose, but it's dictated by someone else's mind, know? And I think we've lost the ability to really know deep within that we're right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's everyone is right. That's the crazy thing. All these opinions, they are right. They're just different sides of the same universe, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I feel like we were kind of talking about this before, but dimensions and we were actually talking about sleep and how you can astral project and stuff like that. And I feel like through seeing yourself in a different light, when we dream, I don't know if have you ever seen yourself when you've dreamt before? In your dream, can you recall seeing your own face?
No.
That's funny. Isn't that?
I remember this reoccurring nightmare I had, and it's almost like there was a monster, and I thought it was a dream, but thinking back, it could have been a different dimension. You know what I mean? It's an Insidious, where it's the same house, but all these different.
It's you're seeing. I know exactly. Insidious where the dream world. So when he goes into sleep, he's he's seeing the exact house, and he's seeing almost the energy fields of the people within the house, but not seeing them physically. Jeez. Our souls.
I wonder if these old houses are haunted.
I don't know.
Kind of how I feel sometimes.
I think we're haunted by the energy that was here before. 100%. I feel energies can be lingering, and I feel certain energies that are very, I don't like to say things are negative, but don't have the best interests in mind, can be very deadening to your creative process. That's why I believe in saging and cleaning your space, mopping your floors, making sure that everything is clean. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Very clean. No, I'm aspiring to be like that.
Really, girl?
Yes.
Girl, sometimes I be thinking it's messy. Right now I kind of feel it's a little, because I have a cat, so it feels like sometimes things are messy. The carpet is not the cleanest.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, let's get back on topic. So we were talking kind of about intuition and why nobody uses their intuition. Do you feel like you use your intuition fully?
Yeah, I do. Even when because it's so, the reason why people don't is because they're afraid of the judgment, of what are they gonna say, if I defer like that. And it's crazy, I do follow my intuition, and then I feel that judgment, but I endure the judgment, you know what I mean? And I endure the however other people want to see it, I can't control that, but I just endure it, because it's I'd rather just follow my heart. You know, or like, you know.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. You rather listen to yourself than let other people ridicule you. You wouldn't even mind them ridiculing you for your decisions, but it's just, you know yourself. You know what you want. And I feel like we all need to start, you know, tapping into our intuition a lot more, because I feel like our intuition, I think I talked about this in a couple of episodes back, and I was talking about how our intuition is the birth of creativity. If we don't trust ourselves, how are we ever going to make anything? How is anything going to actually work in our favor if we aren't looking for ourselves best interest? If we can't look in our own best interest, we can't look in the best interest of everyone else. So I definitely agree. I feel like intuition can also be a scary thing for some people. Some people say it's intuition, some people say it's God, some people say it's the universe. Like, we all have a different name for the same thing, but it doesn't mean it's any different. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the same source.
Exactly. Same source, you just have a different name for it. Yeah. So that's just my take on it. Like, you guys can agree, like, this is all opinion based, obviously, and our own experiences. I just want to make sure everyone knows, like, anything that we talk about is our opinion. Don't take it too deeply.
Exactly. Like, I think that's another thing. People take things too seriously. You know, it's like,
we've been talking about this.
It's
like,
never that
serious.
You know what I mean? Like, if it is that serious, you're probably taking it personally.
Yep.
And that's when you need to self-reflect and be like, you're right. Like, even, you know, like, sometimes, like, people can paint you out a certain way if you have an emotional reaction. But sometimes that's not, like, you don't have to be embarrassed, you know, because everyone's human, everyone experiences emotions.
Exactly.
And people, first of all, you need to understand that it's not that serious, but the other people need to understand that that's not serious and that that's not who that person is.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, we're all going through it, you know?
Projection.
Empathy,
it's projection.
Yes,
it's projection.
Exactly.
We all projecting how we feel on the inside, and we all take it too personally because we ourselves are triggered.
Exactly.
We're all triggered, wondering why everyone's acting a certain way, because we're triggered. We're projecting and we're triggered. And once you start disassociating from that, then you'll start to be able to understand how society works, how we speak to each other, why people do certain things they do.
Exactly.
The why. Why aren't we asking more questions? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, no, seriously, like, it's mind-boggling that it's so simple, yet it's so complicated for everybody to wrap their head around.
Exactly. It's like the answer to the why is because of our own feelings about ourselves. You know, like, by asking why, you're discovering the truth, and a lot of people are afraid of the truth.
Exactly.
And, like, afraid of how that could paint them out to see, you know, like, from a perspective, they're closing their eyes to what if I'm actually what I'm most afraid of. You know what I mean? And it's like, just no fear. Like, we shouldn't be having fear because, like, nothing's that serious. Like, you're gonna die. And that's like, no, that's
you're gonna die. Not tomorrow. Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
I
like,
don't know.
You never know. You never know. So
you
it's like, just live each moment like it's your last.
The only moment you have is the present. You don't have the past and you don't have the future. You only have the present. So with that being said, like, I know it's easier said than done to not be fearful. Like, everyone says, oh, you know, just don't be afraid.
Yeah.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
You're able to then, the only problem is when you start seeing what you're afraid of in your mind and you start thinking about it over and over and over, it's going to become your reality because you're making that reality for yourself. So if you want to think of it that way, think of it in a way, if you keep thinking about it, if you're still afraid about, like, of whatever it is you're afraid of, you can then project that into your own reality just by continuously thinking about it. Not thinking about it, maybe thinking about something more positive or turn that negative into a positive, you're able to then, it doesn't exist anymore. You can't make it exist unless you want it to exist. You know, we make our lives the way they are, the way we think, the way we eat, the way we breathe, the way we sleep, all of that. So, I don't know, I feel like we all just need to talk to each other and start asking each other more questions about our lives. Like, just saying, like, you know, how are you? I made a video on that and I said, oh, like, why we all lie to each other when we ask each other, oh, you know, how are you? And we say, oh, we're good. We're not that good. We're not feeling the best. And it's important to be honest because if we're not honest, how can we give honesty if we don't receive it? Vice versa. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's like sleeping in is like such a
bad thing.
Guilty, you know, you feel guilty when you sleep in because I should be productive. Like, why do we need to be productive all the time?
We're not built for that.
Like, that's half of the equation.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
We need our rest, we need regeneration. That's where creativity comes, that's where new ideas come.
Exactly.
If we're just on all the time, then we're robots.
Exactly.
We're not taking the time to destroy and, you know, like, things need to be destroyed for new things to come up.
That's true. And that's very true.
Yeah.
I was actually doing an article on sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and there's there's REM, and then you have non-REM. So basically, it's like eye movement. So non-eye movement versus eye movement. And during the first 3 stages is pure non-eye movement. Eyes are not moving, going back and forth or moving at all.
Yeah.
And within the 4th stage, that's when your eyes start to move. And during the 3rd stage is where it's like the deepest sleep. And that is where our body does repairs. That is where our body looks over personal experiences, knowledge. Yes, that's where we start to go, and we need that. And not everyone gets enough of stage 3, and that's the problem. We're not getting enough sleep, and that causes us not able to be productive in life. But if we don't get enough sleep, then, I mean, the whole place is gonna blow up. That's why. But we're seeing it outside today. How everyone's we're all not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
And we're wondering.
Tired, and that's why we're zombies, because we don't have the capacity to think outside the box.
Exactly.
We're not energized. You know, we don't have that nourishment of rest.
Exactly.
And that the darkness is where everything is birthed from. So if you're not resting and feeling that darkness, then nothing new can arise.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Over and over and over and over until you're drained like a battery.
Exactly. And we're not batteries though. Actually, we kind of are, because we are what we eat, right? If we eat a lot of, fresh foods and a lot of things that are alive, like plants, and I'm vegan, she's also vegan. And we're starting this journey, and we're like, it's not easy, but it is possible. You just need to start being more creative with your food.
It feels good. It feels good to cook, and like we're so used to eating meat as like our main meal.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the main dish, and then you have all the sides. But now the sides are the main meal.
Exactly. It's just kind of reversing that mentality.
Exactly.
Like, hey, these are the sides. The main, and the meat is just not even food.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even feel like it's food anymore.
Exactly. I mean, it was at a point, like, I feel like meat wasn't always bad. I just feel like the meat that we're having today,
so inhumane.
Yeah.
Like, the way they treat the animals,
and the steroids and the hormones. Everyone's wondering what's going on, why they feel irregular. It's because of the meat. The meat is messing with your hormones. It's messing with you.
And those are like animals. Like, you are an animal too. Like,
exactly.
It's not even like, it's like it hurts almost to know the pain that the animal goes through in order for it to get to your plate. Like. So at least, like, I have seen those videos where, like, the
don't
animal,
get me started. It's so sad.
It's
inhumane. It's sad. If we wouldn't treat ourselves like that, why would we treat that's our sister? I'd say that those animals are like around us, are like our cousins. You know, we all came from the same source, just a different way. We all took different paths. The smallest of an ant is important. The trees, so important. I'm so happy I have a tree outside my window. It's like so interesting to see how they move, how they interact with nature. They become a home for animals. You know, like it's like having a friend next door. So I feel like we need to be more appreciative, and I feel like having all my plants in my room makes me feel that more alive, because there's things that are alive with me. You know what I mean? But yeah. So we were also talking about rejection is the new approval. So what do you think about that? Like, because we were talking about how rejection. Yeah, go on.
I don't remember.
So we're saying how money, fame, and power, and
money, fame, and power.
Money, fame, and power. We're saying how, you know, when you have a lot of money, that's when people will listen to you. And how that rejection from not listening turns into hate. And how it turns into a negative connotation, because when we don't have a lot of money, the biggest problem everyone has is money. There's not enough money. There's not enough resources. There's not about this. There's not, but there's more than enough. We're just not sharing it. So like, do you feel like when it comes to not, like, instead of knowledge being power, money is power, do you feel like causes a disconnect with people's spiritual purpose?
Yeah, because like everyone's chasing this bag, get to the bag, you know, this imaginary bag.
Yes,
it's like,
imaginary.
It's like, what is real life? Like, you're trying to obtain this, like, you know what I mean? It's physical, like, but real life is, it's spiritual. You know what I mean? Like what's the good of all this money if like you don't have like a purpose? You know what I mean? And it's like, what is your bigger purpose? And what, you know, who are the people you choose to spend your life around?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, like it just drains you when you're like, your whole life is money, and like
And that's the only thing you're going after. You're not going after for success and wealth within health, within knowledge.
Yeah, like real wealth is like appreciating like the earth and appreciating the people on the earth, which is God, which is the universe, you know? Like we are all a little part of the universe.
Exactly.
And the thing money does is it separates us, acting like we're not all connected and that your well-being isn't connected to my well-being, you know? It's like we have this disconnect, like the people at the top and the people at the bottom, and it's like the people at the top feel like they're like so much better than the people at the bottom.
Yeah
And it's like they're hogging, they're not sharing it, they're stopping the circulation of energy,
flow.
We don't even need money at all.
We don't. Money was just meant to be a resource of another form of trading. We weren't supposed to eliminate all forms of trading.
It's gone way too far.
Yeah, like we've made it the only, but we've only been doing this for like the last 1,000-something years. Like it hasn't been that long, not even 1,000. Has it? I think we're around there. I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but I think it hasn't been that long since we've been actually like using money and trading with it. Like we actually used to bargain. People used to go into the store and bargain for what they were buying for. Now this is the price. That's it. Like it doesn't matter if you don't have that in your pocket.
AI will make it even worse because it's like they don't have a concept of love and giving.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you have to prove yourself. That's 100%. A very masculine way of going about things is, you know, proving yourself to a certain standard, because that's thinking about something very specific and being like, if it's not that, then it's wrong. But that's not.
But I feel like even then, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like even then we've turned masculinity into something that we don't want, but it's something that we need, because I had a conversation with a couple of people a little bit ago, and we were talking about how black women specifically, we don't feel like we need our black men because we feel rejected by our black men. So it's a disconnect on both sides, because we both think that we don't like each other, but in fact we're both mad at each other. And it causes this huge disconnect, and it trickles down into the children that we end up having, right? Personally, I'm stopping that here. It's not going past me, but for a lot of people, they don't see it that way. They don't see that there's a problem. This is just how it's always been. You know that, they're too old to change? That's that kind of concept we've been living, we've been living by, and it's been causing us to be lost. It's causing us to reach out into things that we don't necessarily shouldn't be delving into. And I feel like for me at least, like I was super into like I just wanted to know the answers. Like, you know when you just want to know? So I started like venturing out of Christianity, because I used to be super like into the church, and I started venturing, I started to look into African spirituality. I'm like, this sounds, you know when something just makes more sense to you and it clicks with your makeup of who you are and the melanin and all these different things. It's like, this sounds like me. And I feel like I'm not saying that, you know, Christianity is bad. I'm just saying, for me at least, I feel it paints a picture of a European mindset and a European, the white man. It's the white man, literally. Jesus, he's white. Like
that's the thing. Jesus was black, but they painted him to be
white. Exactly.
You know, because they took the narrative.
Exactly.
I don't even want to get into like.
We're not gonna get into that, but you know, like we can get into it.
Yeah,
We eventually in another video. But I definitely feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had, because a lot of this stuff in Christianity was stolen from Africa. A lot of the stories,
it all comes from Africa.
Yes, every story that we tell. They're stories. They're allegorical stories told to teach you lessons. They're not real. They're allegorical, and that was set from the beginning. But anyway. Let's move on. So let's talk about power and respect. We kind of talked about it in like a little bit earlier than this, but what do you feel that power and respect, where do you think that middle line of where that power and respect come from?
Middle line.
So like, for example, money. Money is the one thing that you get power and respect for. The richest man in the world is respected. It doesn't matter if you created it or not. You're rich, we listen to you.
Exactly. It's like the brainwashing. It's like the more money you have, the more reach you have, you know, and the more people's minds you can influence. And if enough people are being influenced by this one like mind pattern, then it becomes it's happening. Like it came from this one source, but it's also happening amongst each other.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it continues. So it's like money is like nothing, because these people who are rich and on TV are just normal people with big egos. Because it's like, because like everyone is part of the same like collective mind. You know what I mean?
Same cloud that we're all accessing information from. I feel like that's why on some days it's super cloudy outside. I feel like for me that represents that the collective consciousness, we're all feeling a little down today. We're not feeling the best that we could possibly be. But right now, as you can see, the sun came out. And I feel like, okay, it's the end of the day. People are probably happy now. I feel like the stars, the weather, the way nature reacts in your backyard or your front yard is a reflection of how you're feeling. So I feel like for me, power and respect come from knowledge. I don't think money, if you have money, I really don't care, because at the end of the day, you're gonna die with knowledge, not die with money. Yeah. So I'd rather die with knowledge. So for me,
even when you die, you have no money, you have no more knowledge. You know,
true.
Like your consciousness can't hold anything.
But it can, because our minds are outside of us. And outside of us is the soul. The soul is an extension. It's like, I picture like our soul's like an extension, just goes way up or wherever, it's everywhere. I just feel like it's everywhere. And I feel like the knowledge, like, because a theory that I had was that we said that we wanted to come down here. And we said, okay, for coming down here, I'm coming down here for experience. I want to experience love. I want to experience fear. I want to experience hate and shame. And I want to feel emotions, because that's the one thing that we have that holds us physically here, that we can feel things. So I feel like when it comes to, I guess, the power of knowledge, the knowledge itself comes from not what we read, but what we experience.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's me personally. I feel like
I think we undervalue our own experiences.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. We'd rather listen to somebody else.
Exactly. Like someone else knows more than me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's not 100% true. Like I feel like we're all like you said, we're all tapping into the same source.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So our experiences are shared anyway. So it's like the knowledge that you do acquire was meant for you to learn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. It happened for a reason. That was an experience acquiring that knowledge from that other person.
True.
So it's like that was part of your life path to acquire someone else's knowledge. But at the same time, you have to understand who's the main character in this movie. It's you. It's always going to be you. Therefore, this like system of like rules that govern people in order to fit into like an idea, a concept of the way that the world is set up. It's very masculine, but it also doesn't serve you as an individual. Let me clarify. When I say masculine, it's like the masculine and feminine are both equally as important. But the problem is the masculine has been overpowering, so it's off balance, and like 100%. We're lacking that return to
even women are more masculine.
Exactly.
Like even us as women, like we are almost scared to reside in our femininity. It doesn't mean you're weak when you're feminine. It just means vulnerable, that you're not even vulnerable. Like you are more empowered in the way your body. Right. Exactly. You're in tune with your cycle. I feel like being in tune with your menstrual cycle is a big thing. Like as women, like we have that gift to like be able to release the moon cycles. That's our cycles.
Like we are the earth. Yes. Like, we are the moon. We're part of this universe. You know, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So it's like our emotional energy, our emotional state is what can influence the energy in a room, can cause certain things. You know, when you're angry and then suddenly something falls around you, that's your energy.
That's your energy.
And
it's
like
mirroring you.
Yeah, and like people don't understand that like energy transfers. So like your mood is affected by those around you. Your thoughts aren't even your own, you know? Yeah. Like you're on a bus.
You have to be able to decipher.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are it's Inception. Like telepathy is very real. Yeah. It's very real. Yeah. And some people have better like intuitive instincts and like that's like but like it's in all of us, you know? We just have different strengths and weaknesses.
I was actually watching a video and she was talking about that, how some of us were born with certain gifts and those gifts back then when we were in our ancestors, we had tribes. People were born with certain gifts to help different things within the tribe. Now we don't really need that anymore.
Exactly.
So some people
are individualized.
Yes. So now that we're being born with it, we're classifying those things as depression, anxiety, and all these other disorders and just disabilities. But those things had a reason. It's just that we don't remember what the reason was because we're not asking enough questions. So we're all lost. Think there's something wrong with us, but there's
thinking
nothing.
We know all the answers.
Exactly.
Well. Like,
we don't know everything, and that's okay. We're learning as we go.
And like the right answer will always feel right. Yes. You know, like we neglect our feelings. Like feelings are this is why the feminine is so important. Yeah. It's because it will let you know if something is off.
Intuition.
That's your intuition.
Yes.
You know, like, I don't feel right. Why don't I feel right? Let me ask questions.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Like, yeah.
I feel like like I said, we're afraid to ask questions because we're afraid of what the answer might be. Because sometimes the answer may not make us the happiest in the moment.
Yes.
But later down the line, you're going to be even happier.
Yeah.
You know, like
sometimes
patience.
Endure that pain in order to feel
we need to feel these things. They're human, part of our human experience. We need to feel them. It's just that we need to be more emotionally mature about how we go about expressing those emotions. I think that's the only thing. I was talking about it in my last video because I feel like I had to come to a realization that I can't just abruptly act out when I'm upset anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I need to actually like deal with it. Like I can't just pretend like it's not there.
And when that feeling comes over you, it's almost like it wants, you know, that drama. And it's like you have to be aware of that. And
but that's
like,
not just you too, like you said. Like it's not just your emotions. Like, because you were talking about earlier with our parents and how like sometimes you just feel like so angry about what they're saying. It's like, it's not you. Yeah. You're not just, it's not that you're afraid. It's your parents are afraid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Oh, well, that was like the last, like we literally talked about the feminine and the bath. We did it. We talked about it.
Literally.
So I feel like, I don't know, do you want to close it off here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Thank you, Q6.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm gonna be on her channel soon, so I'll link her channel in the what do you call it? The bio? What do you call it?
The description.
The description box below, and you guys can make sure you subscribe to her as well. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Bye.